Good morning, everybody. Let's try it again. Good morning, everybody. That's awesome. I'm George Takata. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications here at Reedley College. Welcome to our State of the College President's Breakfast. We do appreciate you coming here, supporting our campus inside the beautiful McClarty Center for Fine and Performing Arts. Before we get started, let's give a round of applause to our Tiger Cafe staff, John Cunningham and his staff, for the breakfast this morning. We're very fortunate that we get to have the opportunity to eat their food every day. It's really, really good, and as you know, now. We're going to start with our land acknowledgement. We begin today by acknowledging that we are holding our gathering on the land of the Yokuts, specifically the Choinumni, Mono, and Wakchumni people who have lived and continue to live here. We also acknowledge that areas surrounding Reedley are still home to many other Yokut tribes. We recognize their spiritual connection to the waters and the land as the first stewards and the traditional caretakers of this area we now call Reedley College. As we begin this morning, we thank them for their strength, perseverance, and resistance. We also wish to acknowledge the other indigenous peoples who now call Reedley College their home, for their shared struggle to maintain their cultures, languages, worldview, and identities in our diverse college. Thank you. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our Associated Student Government President, Sarahi Sanchez Soto, for the Pledge of Allegiance. Sarahi.
Good morning. What a beautiful crowd today. I'd like to invite you all to rise for our Pledge of Allegiance. Please begin. You may be sitting. Thank you.
We're going to do a little calisthenics this morning. And we're going to ask you to stand back up again one more time. You didn't know that you're going to exercise this morning, did you? To my left is our Reedley College Sax Quartet, and they will be performing our national anthem this morning. Thank you to our Reedley College Sax Quartet. Great job as always. You may be seated. And then no, just kidding. You know, we're very fortunate, I'm very fortunate as the Director of Marketing and Communications to promote this entire campus, and the uniqueness of its programs has been well documented. I'm sure many of you know, or all of you know about them. We're going to highlight one of them right now, so please take a look at the screen.
I'm a 20-year veteran in the Navy, and I spent a fair share in and out of helicopters in different planes. So I wanted to be around a community of like-minded people.
Started in the Navy, worked with the F-18 squadron for 5 years, and fell in love with aviation there. So I decided to pursue it.
A distant family member offered me a plane ride back from LA back into Fresno, and I got to sit up in the cockpit with him. And I was like a little lost at the time. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And so my parents just encouraged me to ask him questions, and the more I asked, the more I got a little bit more interested, but the same was like, yeah, fat chance, like I'll end up here.
So we're doing ILS or localizer runway 30 for Visalia, ONAV. Perfect.
Definitely exceeded expectations. Most of my time has been spent in Cessnas that are probably turn of the century. So when I got here and found out that I was going to be flying a brand new airplanes that are, TAAs, technically advanced airplanes, I was definitely excited to jump in them and learn all about it.
My expectations have been exceeded by far. Show up out here, all the instructors, all the coordinators, they're top tier, very professional. And of course, the price tag of the program as well. Not many places you can go and get CFI for less than $100,000.
The instructors that I've met are extremely well-versed and practical. Airport gives you the freedom to operate without restrictions. Airplanes are well maintained. They have mechanics literally right next door to the hangar. So you're walking into an environment that's controlled, maintained, and you have all the tools that, in my opinion, you have to thrive. The only limitation is you.
I've noticed myself like thinking like, it's crazy, but like I'm just like in an airplane, like in a metal tube just flying, you know? It's really fun. I really enjoy it. I like being able to look out, like look down on everything, try to spot other airplanes in the air and stuff. I think it's a blast.
A real sense of peace. It's kind of surreal for me. Allows me to get my thoughts, really think about life. I really enjoy it. It's my place of happiness. You know, if I'm down, I go and fly an airplane, I'm good to go again. I don't belong here, I belong in the air, yeah.
So what we're trying to say is, if the government shutdown has hindered your travel plans, head over to the Reedley Airport, and our flight science team will take care of you. Very fortunate to have that program. It is a program that's definitely on the rise, pardon the pun, and it's just one of the many programs and students and groups of students and faculty members that we're proud of here at Reedley College. Now for our main portion of the program, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the 20th president in the history of Reedley College, Dr. Jerry Buckley.
Good morning, everyone. I see you got you wound up pretty well. That's good. We decided to lead with aviation this morning, not knowing what the country was experiencing, but I'll just simply say that it represents one of the more technically challenging programs that we offer here. But obviously it's one that we serve a good many communities with, including our veterans, which is important to us. So having this event the day after Veterans Day, I thought it would be good to lead with that particular piece. I'd also like to just say welcome again, and I hope you all enjoyed your breakfast, as I said to many of you as I was circulating around the tables. As you can see from our slides, we have a motto this year: your campus, your future, your turn. So I'm going to be emphasizing that as we speak about the various programs and the various opportunities as we reflect back on last year. This slide in particular shows not just an image of a forest, but a classroom and a laboratory that we use very frequently for a large number of our students. We'll be talking about that later as well. But first, I'd like to basically go through my list and thank those that are special guests with us today. In particular, from our legislative branch, we have Gina Welch from Senator Shannon Grove's office, Kathy Mahan from Senator Schiff's office, David Santos representing our state senator Ana Caballero, and Larry Salinas, who's Deputy Chief of Staff with Congressman Costa. Congressman Costa was actually going to be with us today, but he called me yesterday with apologies, saying that he was going to have to take a red eye back to Washington, D.C., and I think we all know why. So we still hope he has yet to experience one of our big events here in this theater, and we hope to have him with us in the future. I'd also like to recognize from our educational partnerships Dr. Rafael Enganez, Superintendent of Parlier Unified, Martin Maris, Board President of Parlier Unified, and Dennis Weichman, Superintendent, Sanger Unified, and his staff who are with us today. Also from State Center, I want to actually recognize our board first, Danielle Parra, Board President, Robert Fuentes, Vice President, Destiny Rodriguez, Secretary, Austin Ewell, Trustee, Magdalena Gomez, Trustee, Deborah Akeda, Trustee, Nazarene Johnson, Trustee, and Noel Reyes, Student Trustee. And then representing our partnership with our Chancellor's office, our district office, we have a good many people here. I'm going to read everyone that we partner with, even though they may not be with us this morning. Of course, Dr. Carol Goldsmith, our Chancellor of State Center Community College District, Dr. Kim Armstrong, President of Clovis Community College, Dr. Angel Reyna, President of Madera Community College, Dr. Denise Wisenhut, President of Fresno City College, Dr. Christine Holt McDonald, our Deputy Chancellor, Dr. David L. Fatal, Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration, Dr. Robert Frost, Vice Chancellor of Ed Services and Institutional Effectiveness, Christine McTarian, Vice Chancellor of Operations, Juliana Mosier, Vice Chancellor of Human Resources, Don Lopez, our Chief Technology Officer, Rico Guerrera, our Executive Director of the State Center Foundation, and Kirsten Corey, General Counsel. We also have with us Samara Campbell, who's the head of our Personnel Commission, and also Nicholas Trujillo, who's the Interim Dean of District Educational Services. So thank you all for being with us today. Now I'd like to recognize our sponsors. We are blessed to have so many sponsors this year. We've been very successful with helping fund not only this event, but also pushing funding more towards, as you'll see, our basic needs for our students, including food, clothing, and other services, as well as scholarships. So we really appreciate those sponsorships. In the gold category, we have the California Teaching Fellows Foundation, Cedar and Shields Laundromat, HMC Farms, Valley ROP. In the silver category, we have Courtroom Scholars, Darden Architects, EECU, Mulholland Citrus, Sanger Unified School District, and the State Center Community College District as well. And then in the bronze category, we have Fresno K-16 Collaborative and the State Center Office of Educational Services, and finally a table sponsor, the Bravka family. Thank you all for your sponsorships. Now, as far as our agenda today, keeping with our theme, we're going to be looking at three primary areas, and we'll finish off with a video that I think you'll all enjoy. But we're going to go through our numbers, look backwards statistically at what happened last year. We'll review our programs, and we're going to emphasize our discussions around guided pathways today, in addition to looking at one specific program in our extended education program. So starting with your campus, Reedley College, as you know, is nearly 100 years old, and it is indeed a story of community service and education over that time. Remember that we obviously started in 1926, but we started at the local Kings Canyon High School. In fact, the building still stands today, which is their admin building, which was our college home for a number of years, up until 1956 when we moved to the current location, which, as you know, historically is the location of the T.L. Reed Ranch, which is a great deal of significance for this community and the surrounding area. And in 1963, we joined the State Center Community College District by joining with Fresno City College. And there was a name change, some of you may remember. In 1980, we became Kings River Community College, and that didn't last forever. We decided to change back in 1998 to be Reedley College, and we are here again holding that name today. So a rich history of many different programs, but as you would imagine, most of our history centers around ag as well as natural resources more recently. And keep in mind that we are a comprehensive college. We offer all programs, and in fact, as you're going to hear today, our largest pathway is actually STEM. We have a great many students that are pre-health, a great many students that are pre-engineering, and an even distribution amongst the STEM disciplines. So for the numbers, last year was a landmark year in that we served nearly 18,000 students, and of course this year we've actually surpassed 18,000 already. You can see the growth, 58% over the 4-year history that you see there. And of that, we're serving roughly 4,500 high school students as dual enrollment, what we refer to as either CCAP or concurrent enrollment students. The average age is 23. But as you can see, we also have other components to our enrollments today. We also have what I mentioned earlier, extended learning, which is really our non-credit program, where we're offering 142 different classes under 27 different disciplines that offer a total of 25 different non-credit certificates. What's unique about this program, as you see this young man in the picture learning how to participate in surveying, that program doesn't cost anything except a health fee of $13. So if you're interested in certifying in a given area or recertifying or upskilling or reskilling altogether, that's why we've created the extended learning program. And as you're going to hear later, there's a good reason to have this type of program at all of our colleges because the birth rate is falling across the United States. Let me let that sink in. The birth rate is falling across the entire United States. What does that mean for our K-12 system? Fewer students. And that means fewer traditional students in the 18 to 24-year-old category. So we're looking at other programs like our Ag Tech Workforce Program, where we're actually going out and recruiting adult farm workers and retraining them for technology-related jobs. So if you take a look at the overall age distribution, 80% of our students certainly fall in that 19 to 24-year-old range, but the other 20% are adults, 25 and older, and we expect that segment to grow over time. In terms of ethnicity, as you can see, our largest component is our Hispanic population at 73%, 15% white non-Hispanic, 6% Asian, and the rest you can see. Also, in terms of gender distribution, we, as many colleges across California and the United States, have a majority of female students at 55%. We're actually lucky at Reedley to have 43% males because post-pandemic, it's been difficult to recruit males to come back to school. Why are we doing better? What do you think? Aviation, agriculture, manufacturing, a good many programs that attract males, and they really enjoy the work here, they finish, and they go on to living wage careers. In terms of support for our students, last year we actually provided over $51 million in student aid. That's roughly $7,500 per student of the 6,800 that applied and received financial aid. And by the way, we're lucky to have 2 foundations that help with scholarships. Another way we support students, of course, is, as I've mentioned, providing support in basic needs, which is food, clothing, and housing in some cases. So you can see that we basically spent nearly $1 million on our support of students in this basic needs category, and over 400,000 of that went to food. Let me just mention that since last year, the number of students lined up at our food pantry has doubled. Think about that for a minute. In spite of the barriers that we help with, Our students did spectacularly last year. You may not be aware of the fact that our average course retention has been and remains 94%, meaning they stay through to the end of the class. Our course success rate went up 3%. That may not sound like a lot, but it's statistically significant over 18,000 students. So it went from 77 to 80% success rate. And our annual persistence, meaning a student stays from first year to second year, went from 67% to 73%. A 6% increase is an incredible change for retaining our students one year to the next. We know that life gets in the way for a good many of our students, but providing support seems to have kept more students with us from that first to second year. And then looking at completions. This is where we really blew the doors off, in my opinion, because we went from 3 years of roughly 2,600 students, or I should say 2,600 awards, to this last year jumping up to 3,221. 3,200 awards given. That's a 20% increase. The number of students that received those awards went from 1,500 to 1,700 in 1 year. That's a 14% increase. We issued or granted nearly, actually over 1,000 degrees, and we granted over 2,100, nearly 2,200 certificates last year. That's pretty impressive for our students, and we hope that trend continues. Transfer. Students that leave us to move on to a senior institution to finish a baccalaureate degree. There could be no more important number for us as a district and a college, because we know that the majority of living wage careers lie where? At the baccalaureate level. Now, many of the areas that I've named so far this morning, aviation, those are six-figure incomes, whether you're a pilot or an aviation mechanic. In manufacturing, you can do equally well. So there are areas that we can create living wage careers for our students, but the majority of our transfer students are going to basically experience that living wage career through the attainment of at least that baccalaureate level degree. So you can see last year we hit 27%. We're serving about 300 students a year in our transfer program. We've made this a top priority this year to sign additional MOUs with our senior institutions. We're going to bring in additional institutions that are online institutions, and we're going to do what we can to help our students make that step to that baccalaureate level. It's incredibly important for the students and for our communities, and that's why we're committed to doing that work. This is an example. If you were to look at this year's annual report, we have 3 case studies, 3 students that basically did transfer. This is Nicolette Fierro, who's transferred to Stanford, which we don't have any agreements with. All 3 students that are listed in the annual report were honor students. That means something when you're competing to get into UCLA, Stanford, and other highly ranked universities. And I'll simply say that Reedley College ranks right up there with them in terms of our competitiveness for those seats. In terms of budget, this may throw you a curve a little bit at first, because if you look at the lower table in the pie chart, it talks about the fact that we were operating with about an $86 million budget total. And that's basically the apportionment and property tax and enrollment fees that we get through our system, as well as other state sources, local sources, grants, what have you, and then federal sources, again, grants and other means. We only listed the general fund expenditures because it gets pretty complicated when you start talking about all of our categorical budgets. We are utilizing a lot of grant funding. We utilize a lot of money that comes to us like strong workforce from the state chancellor's office. So rather than go into all that detail, we just gave you the general fund. But don't expect the expenditures to balance out with the revenue here. In essence, of the $86,120,000, we spent it all, trust me. So what about the future of our students? We have very strategically designed the organization of this college using a guided pathways framework. What does that mean? I mentioned earlier we have 7 pathways, top of which listed here is agriculture and natural resources. Within agriculture, we have plant science, animal science, ag business, and mechanical agriculture. Within natural resources, we have forestry and wildland firefighting. So even though we have a general category, remember that there are programs embedded in each of these pathways. But what is unique, whether it's agriculture and natural resources, manufacturing, or STEM, what we've done is assign a dedicated counselor to each one of these pathways. And we have that counselor meet with the students near where they're taking classes. We actually have created things called hubs. They're spaces where the students can go and study, work with other students, work with their counselor, in many cases work with their faculty there in that hub space. So that's one place that we establish physically for our students to align with. We also have electronic tools, something called Starfish, for example, allows us to communicate directly with students, especially if they have a less than acceptable grade, or maybe they did really well on a test. They can get either a compliment or they can get encouragement to go to a tutoring center when they need to. So we try to keep our students on path with the courses that they're taking, because we actually publish pathways of courses that help them design their educational plan with their counselor. And we also have various resources that help them stay engaged, like clubs, as well as staying on track in terms of communication electronically. In terms of how we deliver our programs, they can be traditional face-to-face classes, online, which grew a great deal during COVID, or hybrid, a day a week, person-to-person, face-to-face, or a day online. We also offer credit and, as you've seen, non-credit courses. We also now offer both full-term and short-term classes. So we may have one class that's offered for 18 weeks in fall and spring. That same course might also be offered for 8 or 9 weeks in an accelerated format. So a student can take 2 short-term classes every 9 weeks throughout the entire year. And you can take a part-time student and suddenly have them represented as full-time in terms of the number of units they're completing by the end of the academic year. What I'd like to start our focus on today is on, again, the importance of adult education and that connection with non-credit. As I mentioned before, when I look at non-credit programming, I look at upskilling, I look at reskilling for people that need an entirely new career. We also use non-credit as a way of delivering our tutoring to help assist our students. In fact, if you look at Fresno State, they now have co-requisite courses that consist of non-credit tutoring that are required courses that are attached to a course like, say, general chemistry. I remember sitting in Saul Jimenez Sandoval's President's Breakfast earlier this semester, where he was talking about an experiment using just that course, where they compared students that took general chemistry with no mandatory co-requisite of tutoring and those that did have that. You know what the difference in success was in that course? 76% without tutoring, over 90% with tutoring. Does it make a difference? Yes. And I have to believe my colleague, after all, he's running Fresno State. So categories that you might be interested in, there's actually 10 categories in which we can operate in non-credit, but the ones that are relevant to us right now are English as a second language, health and safety, short-term vocational programming, as well as workforce preparation. And so we took some of that, and working through a large Department of Commerce grant 3 years ago, we designed our Ag Tech training program to be a non-credit, competency-based course that offers computer skills, farm technology skills, and we decided rather than just offering it on this campus, remember we're talking about working with students that are adults that may not be comfortable coming to a college campus. We partnered with our adult education centers through K-12 in Orange Cove, Parlier, Selma, Sanger, and now Madera as well. And we're serving over 150 students, more than 15 completers so far after the first year. Those completers have gone on to increase their income by, in some cases, 40%, take on new responsibilities, And in many cases, those same students have used this as an on-ramp to come back into our other credit programs and earn even more credentials. Some are even looking at transfer eventually and getting a baccalaureate degree. How's that for a connection? One of the other things attached to that grant, this is my sales opportunity, is an Ag Innovation Center, which represents a partnership with our industry members, where we can basically use this as a sandbox for testing new ideas. We have about 10 to 20 acres of dedicated farmland. This would house a machine shop, office space, and a conference room so that our participating partners in this endeavor, the Ag Innovation Center, can not only use the fields to try out their new ideas, but then come back and talk about it, refine it, fix it if necessary, and then put it back out in the fields. The nice thing is entrepreneurs can come here and actually demonstrate their technology to our growers. And the intent is that this is going to then be an area where we would have student interns, we would have our faculty working with those that are participating in this venture, and they'd be developing new curriculum around these new ideas. So we have $2 million from the federal government of the 10 that we need to finish the project. We've had to do a little bit of redesign on our various building projects due to some escalation, shall we say, in the cost of building. So we are looking to basically have partnerships that could bring additional revenue to this, as well as additional grants to get it finally built. But this is going to happen hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years. But now what I'd like to do is go back to the topic of our Ag Tech training program, and I'd like to invite Irma Fuentes to the stage. Irma is one of our students currently in this program, and I'd like you to hear a bit about how she found out about the program and what she's done with the program since. So Irma, please join me.
Nervous. Good morning, everyone. My name is Irma Fuentes. First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me to this important event.
Thanks, Irma. We are honored to have you with us today. By the way, Irma and about 37 of her closest friends met with a U.S. Senator's staff about 3 weeks ago, and then again a state senator, Ana Caballero, about 2 weeks ago. So when we've asked them to come and tell their story, they have been very, very good at stepping up and sharing that information. So let's start with, how did you find out about this program?
Okay, it's kind of a long story, but I'll make it short. I create content for social media based on my work in agriculture. I've been working in agriculture for the past 20 years, so I literally know almost everything that involves from planting to pruning. But I did not know anything about how to use a computer with Word or Excel. Did not know how to drive heavy machinery, which now I do, thanks to the Ag program. One day I was on Facebook posting one of my reels that I do, and one of the counselors from Fresno City College had sent me a message with a flyer that said something about a certificate in agriculture. It caught my attention, but I thought it was just a scam. Did my research, went back and asked them, can you send me more information? He sent me several links with videos, which obviously confirmed that it was real. So I came to Reedley College and decided to enroll, and that's how my journey began on this program.
So Irma, what would you say the most important benefit has been for you so far?
Oh my goodness, okay. Like I told you, for a lot of years, I've been doing all the heavy work. I would pick grapes, table grapes. I would prune vineyards, trees, pick fruit. And since I've enrolled in this program, I have not done the heavy labor since last year because I did get better opportunity doing some other type of field work that wasn't involved literally with physical work. It was more doing with mentally. I did sugar samples, and then now I'm working for a winery company, which I do everything from counting the dried vines up to moving a tractor. And then some days I have the opportunity to work from home, putting all the information of the machinery that needs to be fixed into the computer using Word and Excel. So yes, that's how it has benefited me.
Working from home, what a concept.
Yes.
Have you had any difficulties so far in the program?
Yes, I have, and not just myself. I think other students also have this difficult. When we started this program, a lot of our students did not have a computer, which they were using their cell phones. And I think it's important for us to get more computers because that way we could do the modules and study, so we could do the exams and obviously pass the 3 tests and get our certificate. So I think that's one of the most important issues. Then there's another one that, not just in my case, but we're in 2025 and there's a lot of homes still that don't have internet at home. So it's hard because we work 8 hours, come back home. Some of us have little children, which we take care. And I know there's places that have free internet, but it's a little bit hard and tiring to go over and leave our children at home or even with a babysitter and for us to go do our work. So I don't know if there's any way that we could get a portable hotspot Wi-Fi so students could do their work at home using the computer.
So that really gives us a lot of food for thought for the future of this program in terms of how we use our college in the evenings, in terms of opening our resources for internet access, for
Yes.
student support. That's very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else that you think the other students would like to see that's different?
Well, with the schedule that we have, which is in the afternoons, I think that's great. I have not struggled. I would come home from work, literally just get something quick to eat and then head over to my class. One of my good friends, which she's just right there sitting down, she's my good guide and supporter, was mentioning maybe when we finish the Ag Tech program, you guys could consider give us a scholarship or a small scholarship so we could continue with our studies. In my case, it's going to be a little bit hard to keep on to move forward because sometimes we don't qualify for the student aid. So I think it's a great idea that maybe someday might happen.
Point noted. What are you interested in doing next?
Okay, that I do have a good answer for it. After I'm done with the Ag Tech program and get my certificate, I am planning to enroll in several classes, which I have to speak to a special counselor so she could guide me on to what classes to take because I do want to keep on pursuing a degree. I don't know yet if it's going to be an associate's or a bachelor degree on agronomy. Yeah, those
Very
are my
good.
plans.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
And just as a comment, we're kind of in phase 2 of planning right now. We have so many short-term certificates that we think might be of benefit to our adult population, things like forklift driving, welding. You know, I call those basic skills in terms of our farming population, but it's also obvious that having set her feet on the pathway of higher education, she's not going to be settling for a certificate in forklift driving, don't you think? So I think it's interesting when you have a program that lights somebody's fire, interesting things can happen in terms of things you're not always expecting, in terms of where they basically see their future, because you've now opened someone's future to being anything they want it to be, which is what we're supposed to do, isn't it? So I guess I just ask if you have any final thoughts.
I'm just thankful that I did find this program. I never thought I would go back to college with my 42 years that I have. I thought I was going to end me being 60 and still picking grapes and carrying out the bearing wheel, I think that's what it's called, a carretilla, or pruning, which I've seen a lot of ladies that age, and it really opened my mind, and I said, no, that's not what I want. So that's why I'm gonna try my best to graduate from the program and then continue my studies. And hopefully I'll be here, if you guys invite me, to show you guys my bachelor's degree.
There you go.
Thank you.
I'd just like to point out to everyone that Reedley's not the only one participating in this training program. We have Fresno City, we have Clovis Community College, we have Lemoore College to the south, as well as Coalinga, and also Merced College to the north. So all of our programs are providing the same training opportunity, but since we have begun, we've now actually started receiving inquiries from as far away as Los Angeles, Santa Maria, and the Central Coast. Now, part of that might be due to Irma's social media posts. I don't know.
Yes, I'm promoting the program on all my social medias, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. So,
But I have a feeling this is something we should take statewide, don't you think? Irma, thank you so much for joining us
no,
today.
thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. So now it's time for our students' turn. And for this, I'm going to go back to our discussion of guided pathways. If you remember, in my first discussion of this, I mentioned that it's a framework. It's a framework that consists of pathways that lead you to an endpoint, to a goal. And also, we provide supports. I think that's the key issue, because the three people that are going to join me on stage now each represent a major portion of what this college provides to students. And you're going to hear them talk about how those different opportunities present and how they basically choose to address those opportunities to help improve our service to students. So if you'd help me welcome Dr. Jesus Vega, Vice President of Student Services. Soon to be Dr. Sherilyn Krill-Hornsby, Vice President of Instruction, and Melanie Heifel, Vice President of Administrative Services. Oh. And now I'm going to turn the mic over to George Takata to facilitate this conversation. George?
Thank you, President Buckley. Now it's time to have some fun. I love these three. They do such great work for our campus. We work very closely together on multiple things, and now I get to put them in the hot seat. I enjoy that. No, I'm just kidding.
Start over there, George.
What's that?
No.
No?
Start on that
We'll
side.
start in the middle with the newbie.
Sounds great.
You like that?
Yay.
Okay.
By the way, welcome everybody. It's good to see you here today.
We have 3 questions. They will each answer all 3 questions to the best of their ability. No, they're very knowledgeable, obviously, with everything going on with the campus. First question, how are we ensuring the class schedule is built around student lives, predictable, sequenced, block scheduled, 8-week friendly? Sherilyn, we'll start with you.
Okay, so this is a really important part of the students' college experience, of course, is being able to get the courses they need in the time that they need them. And as a part of our guided pathways work, one of the sets of work that our faculty members have done is gone through and worked on their overall course sequencing or course maps for their various degrees and certificate options. This is something that they did in collaboration with our counseling faculty so that there is a really strong understanding as our students are guided into their courses as to which sections they want to take to maximize the benefit and in what sequence to maximize their experience. When it comes to things like our short-term class scheduling, we are also in recognition that there are some changes coming from our state legislature, which are allowing us to have a greater amount of flexibility when it comes to how our classes are supported. This has to do with our standardized attendance accounting, which is going to be, I don't even know that Melody wants to talk about this, but it essentially has to do with how our classes are funded. For a very long time, the state essentially chose to maximize the benefit for the college's sake on long-term 18-week courses. But we also know that our students frequently do very well in shorter-term classes that allow them to accelerate their time in the college and have a stronger experience of the classroom space because they are getting the content in a more condensed manner. We actually have a number of programs in our career technical education sector that already operate in this exact manner, but we're starting to explore this 8-week scheduling option with our early childhood education, our business, and our criminology pathways. They are essentially looking at right now in collaboration with their fellow faculty who are also in those same, whose coursework falls within those same patterns, but is not a part of those subject areas. So that would be your math faculty, your English faculty, your history faculty, because as transfer pattern courses, these are going to require a breadth of different courses, not just ones in the concentrated program area, on setting up sequences that are going to allow students to be able to get through in basically 8-week sequences. So you could do a set of 8 weeks twice in a semester, and then also take 8 weeks during the summer, allowing you to accelerate through the entirety of your program in a much more expeditious manner. Does that answer your question, George?
It better. Melanie, do you have anything to add to that?
So as we look at building out 8-week schedules in addition to our face-to-face and hybrid, you have to start looking at facilities. And so that's one of the things that as we look at maximizing the use of our facilities is we really have to look at how we schedule the classes, where we put the classes. And so that it takes a lot of coordination between instruction, student services, and admin services to try to make sure that we are maximizing all of that. And so we want the students to have the best experience. We want to make sure the facilities are what they need to be able to get their coursework done. And so it's just looking at how we utilize those spaces.
Dr. Vega?
I think Charlene pretty much hit it all on the head, but for our purposes, we also have to start working with our high school partners to start educating our students sooner rather than later in terms of what it means to be in these short-term courses, right? So that they understand what they're getting themselves into as they transition into Reedley College, because it's going to be different to what they're accustomed to or what their siblings were accustomed to when they came to Reedley or Kings River or whatever it may be, right? So we have to start having those conversations with the students, with the high school teams, but also with the parents, because they have to understand what is going on as well. On the flip side, we have to start changing the conversation with our success teams on our campus as well. What's that going to look like? What are our counseling appointments going to look like? What are the conversations within those spaces going to look like? So again, it's going to be an effort across the campus to start having those conversations to change the culture of who we are and what we were into what we're becoming. So it's going to take some time, but I think we're going to get there.
Thank you. Question number 2. How is facilities planning and tech modernization being prioritized so students see visible change, and how can students and the community be included in those decisions? Melanie, we'll start with you.
So we are having a lot of conversations because, as many of you know, and I know a lot of the community participated in our Vision 2035, which helped create our roadmap for the next 10 years in our facilities master planning. So we had a lot of input from students and from the community in that. So now as we look at modernizing projects, which we have one that we're starting right now, we're really looking at incorporating, or we're actually going to be starting a lot of conversations with our faculty and our students on as we modernize buildings, as we build new buildings, what does the classroom of the future look like? What technology needs to be in the classroom? What are standards that need to be in every classroom? What does a lecture classroom look like? Because depending on the discipline, that lecture classroom looks really different. If you're in a communications class, it looks really different than what it would look like in a math class, but it's still a lecture class. And so we're starting that task force now. So we get a lot of input from our faculty and our students, because we want to make sure that as we move forward with the campus construction and modernizations, that we are incorporating all of those into our future buildings.
Thank you. Sherilyn?
I would just say that I really want to say how much I appreciate the fact that our faculty are very vocal about what they think is going to be the best for our students. I think that's actually really key to making sure that these spaces are going to function in the way that they're intended to as instructional spaces. And I really appreciate the fact that Melanie has done a lot to make sure that she's opening up those communications and those conversations with faculty, especially as concerns arise, and that she's been working really tightly with our district office on the order and sequence of some of these changes that you're going to see coming to the campus in the next few years with the construction projects that we've got coming up. Because the sequence and the order of how that construction happens makes a huge difference in its ability to make the biggest impact for our students in the long run.
Oh, and one more thing too. For those community members, don't think that you don't have a voice. If you really want to impact our programs, get on our advisory boards. Almost every one of our programs has an advisory board, and I will tell you from my experience in budget and my experience in the facilities committee, being on this campus for as long as I have, the comments and the concerns from the advisory community members do carry through, and we see a lot of changes, especially industry-wide changes that our students need to know how to handle. Those comments and suggestions have all come through our advisory boards, so please get on an advisory board.
And Dr. Vega?
I think for us in student services, aside from the hubs, which Dr. Buckley talked about earlier, where students are able to come in and see a counselor and meet with their faculty and build community as a program. I think the other largest aspect that we've had as a team is building spaces for our students to build community as a whole, right? And what I've appreciated about the conversations that we've had is, how do we build spaces where students can access basic needs? A larger food pantry, because we see that there's a space, a need for it. Our Clyde's Closet needs a larger space. Students have been asking for a larger space to congregate, right? Our student center has been outgrown. There's not enough space for them to build that community there. Spaces for our students to meet with counselors, right? What does that look like moving forward? Because our students need that actual location for our tutoring centers. What does that look like for a redesign? Because we're operating with the space that was built probably in the 60s and 70s, right? So we've kind of remodeled and made it work, but we know we could do better. When we go and visit these newer campuses or different universities, we see and we taste and we feel these things, and it's like we could do that for our students, and it can make such a difference in the community that we're building. Because since I've been here, we hear we need to build a stronger community for our students. Our students come and go. So how do we do that? And I'm not saying a space is going to make that happen, but it could be a starting point. We already have the people that love our students, but we just need that one thing that's gonna provide them with that place where they can say, this feels like home. I don't have to leave here to continue doing what I need to do. So the facilities plan that Melanie's been talking about, she's been great in including me and including the faculty and including the students to say, let's redesign this to make sure that this becomes a home for our students, our faculty, and our staff. So I truly do appreciate that.
Thank you. Final question for the three of you. How will success teams be scaled So every student has a named human who reaches out, not a generic office email. I know, Dr. Vega, this is something very important to you.
It is. I think we've started already. Success teams are not just for our pathways. Since I came about 2.5 years ago, one of the challenges that I posed to my team is become intentional and not transactional. And the analogy that I gave them is don't be the DMV. Not that DMV is not a great place to be. You go and conduct your business that you have to go conduct, but you're just the next number in line, right? Get to know the person that's in front of you, have a conversation with them, get to know them. One of the things that my team has done is started creating success teams in the K-12 system. And that's very important because it starts building that relationships with the students in high school, and then it transitions them into Reedley College. The beauty of it is that it creates that warm handoff from our team at the high schools into Reedley College and then into their pathway, right? So it goes from their high school team, our outreach team, into their pathway team. Hopefully, it ends with a handshake with one of us three, a board member, as they walk across stage at the end of their program. And that's the goal. That's the goal for us to begin to do that. Now, how do we continue to do that with our students? And it's not just the pathways in the program. It expands beyond that. It's our TRIO grants. It's our categorical programs that are always going through some kind of budget crunch or doing whatever it has to be done. But the beauty is that they always come together and find a way to make it happen. But again, it's the people doing the work that needs to be done in order so that students don't become a number or an ID number. It's that face, it's that relationship that continues to see those numbers that Dr. Buckley was showing earlier, that trend to make sure that they continue to show, to make sure that the faculty have students to build that relationship with in those classrooms and continue to build and persist and finish and be an IRMA, right? And continue to grow. So those are what the success teams are. That's what we are. That's what we've become. But it doesn't help it without you all and without these two women continuing to push faculty and staff to do what they do on a daily basis. So thank you, George.
And when you look at, so when you talk about students coming to campus and providing that community, so when I look at my department and I try to talk to my division about how they support guided pathways, how they support students, it's very simple. When you walk on this campus and you see a beautiful welcoming space, you see the grass is mowed, the parking lots are clean, you walk into a classroom and the classroom is clean, it's got all the technology it needs, it has, my division is to make the campus welcoming, inviting, and be what the students need to help try to make that a place they want to come to and stay. When you walk in the cafeteria, you're greeted with a smile. Most of the cafeteria staff know if you go in the cafeteria every day, they're going to know your name. They're going to ask you how you're doing. They're going to ask about your family. That's what we are here.
I would say that success team sounds like it's like a group of people in an office, in a hub. That is true, but it's not the only thing. Our entire campus is the success team. And I think that's one of the messages that, one of the reasons we wanted to present ourselves in this way is that the work we do is not siloed, nor is the work that our classified staff, our faculty, and our administration doing on the campus a silo. We're all trying to work together, trying to communicate to students what their opportunities for their support and what the opportunities for their success look like, making sure that people are aware of how to best get them engaged with the services that are going to do the most good for them at the right time, and communicating with each other about what our needs are to be able to make those spaces as successful as possible. And I have to tell you, it is really an amazing thing to have these cross-sectional conversations where we've got representatives from all of these different areas, including our students, sitting down and talking about what they need and seeing the excitement that people bring to those conversations and the ideas. And it's really, I think, we are facilitators. It's the folks who are out there working with our students every day who have that drive that keeps pushing this college to be able to create the space that's giving us the success that our students need.
Thank you. Round of applause for our vice presidents. The hot seat is now cooled off. Thank you very much. Yes, we appreciate all of your work, all the work that you do. Before we go, we have one more video presentation to show you, and I think it best exemplifies the end result of the hard work that our staff, faculty, and administration do here on this campus. Take a look.
Person that entered versus the one that's sitting here today, and consider your growth. Your Reedley College quilt, or in other words, the ways that you've been shaped during your time as a student, will remain. Each one of us holds an entirely unique quilt formed from different patches, yet all of our worlds somehow collided, leading to this very moment. You've all designed some incredible creations. Congratulations.
No matter what field you've studied, your education at Reedley College has strengthened for you the ability to learn and go on learning throughout your life. Just a closing thought. Many of you in this audience are partners to us. Maybe the rest of you should be. I can only say that when I experience something like what you just saw, I think about the fact that in the Central Valley we don't just grow food, we grow people. And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind as we leave today. Each of you has a respective role, but I think what we've shown you today is the power of people working together, and that can be partnerships. And by the way, the worst thing that a president can ever do is forget to recognize someone in the audience. Marcy, I apologize for not calling your name, and also Carrie, our K-16 partner, K-16 collaborative partner. When you stop to think all the work that Reedley has done with the K-16 collaborative in terms of building these different pathways into higher education over the past, 5 years now, we have a number of pathways that you heard the VPs talking about, but none of that would be possible without you. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for what you do and your partnership, and have a great day.